Okay.
All right, folks, thank you for tuning into another episode of Bucks of America podcast. I am your host, Jeff Vance. Now, the episode hat of the week is Toxin app. It's, as you can tell here, I have my hat on. I got Liz here. She's got her hat on. But Liz Ann and I met at Washara here last year. Now that we only got to meet for a very brief time because it's between the rain and being pulled in multiple directions, and I'm doing podcasts and with her kids and stuff like that, and her husband, we just kind of had a nice brief conversation. Then ever since then, Jeremy's been like about once a month. He's asking, "Have you talked to her yet? Have you brought her on the podcast yet? What's going on here?" It's like he's just excited because he's the same way I am. We like to brag about our friends, especially when they're doing something for the greater good. And Liz here has Hunter LA, but I'm not going to go into it. I'm going to allow her to break that down later on the podcast. So I want you to give you guys something to look forward to. But anyways, go find the Toxin app. You can find it on iTunes or on the App Store and for iPhone too. It's really good. I've done videos. Jeremy's done videos. Ben Klausman's done videos. So there's a lot of tutorials out there to walk you through how to utilize the app and such. And if you have any questions, always ask because Jeremy's always there to answer for you. But so I'm going to shut up here. I'm going to let Liz take over here. I'm going to let her talk about her foundation in the hunting and what got her into it at an early age and what has solidified this passion to get where she's at today. So Liz, take it away, ma'am.
Yeah. So my name is Liz, and I just grew up here in Wisconsin. I have 3 older brothers, and just very involved in the outdoors since I was a kid with my dad, and then also with my stepdad. We did everything from, just hunting squirrels from being really, really little. I know the first thing that I knocked down was a chickadee. And just really got into it. Doing a lot of things with my brothers in the woods from a very, very young age, from identifying trees to baiting with my dad. Favorite memories would definitely be him carrying me on his shoulders through the woods, because everyone just thinks that their dad is, the strongest, biggest man in the whole world. And that was definitely my dad. And then with my stepdad, he did everything with hounds. So he did bear hunting and coon hunting. And that was a whole nother ball game that I was introduced into and kind of really brought me close with him. And so it was really nice to have that every single weekend. We would be with my dad. We have a cabin up in Clam Lake, Wisconsin, and we really got to be part of that elk integration. And that was a really unique experience to be part of, where we would actually have the elk trackers come to our cabin and tell us that, an elk was having a baby behind our house. And it was cool growing up. It was different. I had all of these really extraordinary experiences that a lot of people in my school really didn't get to do those kinds of things, growing up on 4-wheelers and having lots of independence, but at the same time, learning a lot and having a lot of responsibility. So I always wanted to keep up with my brothers. I'm the only girl. I'm the youngest. And I just, like I said, my dad, best man in the world. And I loved spending time with him, fishing or hunting, deer hunting. I know I'm born in December, so I had to take my hunter safety, or I didn't have to, but I took my hunter safety a year earlier. So then when it came time to hunt, I could go. And so actually when I was 11, that was back once it had the age of 12 being the legal hunting age. But when I was 11, I went out and I sat with my dad, and I was already slinging arrows, and it felt good, for my dad to brag about me and just be really proud that, his daughter could do everything that his boys could do. And really taught me just a lot of life skills and providing for my family. My dad's actually an amazing chef, and he'll never admit it, but he taught me how to cook. And so preparing wild game and feeding your family is another thing that really followed through with me. And then kind of keeping out of trouble too, hunting, you put in long hours, and if you're staying up late, it's really hard to be awake the next day in the stand, especially deer hunting season in Wisconsin, 10 days long. That's the most exhausted I've ever been in my life, is hunting for 10 days straight. You'd get up super early, you'd sit in your stand till about 10, 11 o'clock, you know, just before you couldn't feel your toes anymore because you had to climb down the sand. And then you would drive all day, and then you would go back out about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then you would sit until dark when again you couldn't feel your toes, and then you do it all over again, 10 days in a row. So it really teaches you a lot of patience, hard work, perseverance, toughen it out even when it's not the good conditions. And it was all worth it, you know, really. The time with family, time with my brothers, time with my dad, time with my stepdad, all those things were probably my best memories growing up, even though I've never shot a buck ever because I'm really picky.
Really? So to this day, you still have not shot a buck?
I've not shot a buck. I've shot all kinds of things: alligators, aoudad, axis. I've shot all kinds of things. I've never shot a whitetail buck, and I don't know. I'm really picky. I've had a lot of opportunities, but I just, I think really like ethical shots was a big thing that came in when I was younger too. Cause I'm an animal lover at the same time. And so I just want to make sure that I have, you know, the perfect shot and everything is right. And I don't know. I've had buck fever. I have had, this is my favorite story. I had a buck jump out over a fence that I was sitting on one morning. I was 16 years old. My stepdad was gone, and I drove over to his house. And he has like a farm out in the countryside. And I drove out there and I went to go walk out, you know, 4 a.m. It's totally dark out. And he had hound puppies that you couldn't contain. They all followed me out there. And so I just said, whatever, I'll just hang out in this field and see if anything pops out, you know, when the sun comes up. And these puppies, they wrestled and they played, they were growling and barking and everything. And I just, you know, sitting there kind of hands up in the air, what do you do? And it was about 8:30 in the morning. And I was ready to throw in the towel. The puppies wouldn't be quiet, nothing. And I heard kind of like a tingling noise. And I turned my head to look because I thought one of the puppies had gotten caught in the barbed wire. And here was this big buck clearing the barbed wire fence behind me. Total shock. I froze. I had buck fever. I'm just in awe staring. And then I'm like, you need to shoot this deer, right? Well, again, kind of with the ethics, I wanted to make sure that it cleared the barn and cleared like the cow pasture and set up where it was. And I froze. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't pull the trigger. I wasn't ready in the little zone that I had to shoot it. And I was 16 years old. I mean, so things have changed a lot since then. And it kind of taught me a lot too about shot placement, shot time, the short amount of time that you have, and confidence too. And that's kind of, you know, carried to where I am today with, you know, the animals that I'm able to harvest, or even on my trips where I talk to girls about, okay, when this animal comes out, like, we got to be on it. We got to have confidence in ourselves. We got to shoot it. And so that's probably one of my favorite hunting stories. I have so many of them, but I always just remember that moment of that sound and that feeling that rushes over you. You know, buck fever is a real thing. And I got made fun of pretty hardcore by the hunting group that I wasn't able to shoot it, but I still get to go out. You know, I've been hunting for 20 years. And I love every minute of it. So I'm okay that I don't have a buck on my wall yet. But I'll have one. I know there's a monster in this woods behind me, actually. And he's still around. We're still getting him on deer cam. So I'll wait for him, and it'll be worth the wait.
No, how big no, so does he have his own little sanctuary in your property, or do you have to fight for his attention between multiple properties?
Yeah, so we have a neighbor across the road who's awesome, and he actually has given me permission to bow hunt it because he doesn't bow hunt. But what the buck does is he lives in this little patch of woods that our neighbor has, and it has valleys. He's really smart and really watch your movements. But he crosses over in one spot and comes in, and then he drinks out of this creek that we have behind us. So he's always coming over on our property. We have one neighbor that had a shot chance at him. It was 60 yards with a bow, and he wasn't confident at shooting 60 yards with a bow. And I was like, at something like that, I don't know. I mean, definitely. I mean, so I'm confident at 60, 70, I would be a little, I think at 70 yards, I would take that shot. He looks like a mule deer. I mean, he is a beast of a deer, but really smart. And so I've been thinking of some tactics, because my dad told me he was reading this article where they did a study, and two people would go out to a blind, and then one person would leave and the deer would always come in. But if two people went out to the blind and two stayed, the deer wouldn't come in at all. And so my dad makes jokes of everything. He said, apparently deer can't count. And so I said, in bow season, I think me and my husband are going to go out to my blind. I'll have my husband leave and see if the big buck comes in. We're going to try just about everything.
Right. Well, here's a story for you. This guy behind me here, my wife and I were sitting. We weren't sitting together, but she was sitting on the ground because she's not a tree stand hunter. I was sitting up on a 2-man stand, about 25 yards away. She's like, my legs are. I'm just like, my toes are numb. I can't feel them. I'm gonna go sit in the car and warm up. It's like, all right, fine. We only had maybe, I don't know, another hour left of light left. This was late December, late November, or early, right around the rut. And this was Ben in 2018. And so she leaves, and all of a sudden I see something crawl out of the woods about 60 yards away. And it's like, come on, what's this over here? Because it's like it was all crossing between a bunch of branches. So it's like I knew something was over there. Started grunting at him, and grunted at him. And all of a sudden I see him like he is eating, perks up. So then he turns back around and goes back down in the valley. And he came within 15 yards of her, but then it's like, but it took over half an hour to shoot him because he stuck behind the neighbor's lawn, the neighbor's yard there, and then he finally jumps over the fence, and then I have this little cedar tree in my way. He was just walking around. He was all in high alerts. I just let a little bit of grunts here and there, and he finally comes around, 26-yard shot, double lunged him. And then if I would have just been patient and waited, a doe fall right out. But the moral of the story is that it may have cost him to get out of where he was bedded down, and that helped me complete the shot sequence and put him on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like things like that, I hear stories kind of like that all the time, that one person will get out and they'll kind of wrestle them out. But I thought it was cool when my dad told me that study, and because I actually laid out here. I came out here really early in the morning. It was 4 a.m. It was way before shooting hours. And I came down, and there's kind of like, well, there's a creek, and then there's a ditch, and there's open field where he walks. But there's kind of like a big hole in it, and I laid in this hole. But of course I'm in Blaze Orange. But I laid in this hole, and I was in there for 7 hours before somebody who was driving by was concerned. They saw the orange in the ditch. They literally drove across this field to check on me. And I was like, man, I'm hunting. Like, this is Wisconsin. Like, I'm hunting. And so I was super bummed because, here I am thinking I'm going to be really sneaky and have this big buck. He's going to come in and water because he's never seen anybody, come in or lay in so it didn't work out. And so that's kind of my next plan is bow season, to have my husband come out to the blind with me. And
I'm going to be rooting for the two of you.
I know. And he's the best. I mean, Tony is so good. He's so supportive, which is really nice. He's really not competitive, and I am really competitive. But it is so nice that he would give me the chance to shoot it. And even I was traveling last year. Oh, opening bow season, I was in Colorado elk hunting actually. And he was going to go bow hunting. And he goes, would you be really mad if I shot that big buck? And I said, I couldn't be mad. I mean, if he came, you totally got to get him. I would be really jealous. But so he'll be a good sport, and he'll be my decoy. So hopefully I get him, and then it'll be worth, 20 years of hunting for, God, he's got it. He's a big buck. I think he's a Boone and Crockett buck. He's good.
Oh,
So,
really? Like I was thinking, like, because if he's a few years old, I wonder if he's like pushing that 200 mark.
I would say so. He is really, really big. He's a traditional. There is a drop time. I haven't seen him, but everybody sees him because all the deer come here to water. So our neighbors and everything have seen him come in, but we haven't seen him on any cams or anything. So I'm not sure where he comes into water or when he comes in. But like I said, we have this big one, but he's older, and then I worry about that too as he gets older. What's going to change? But crossing our fingers. We're kind of surrounded by big time hunters around here too. But he's smart, and so we just have to outsmart him and get it done. But yeah, and like I said, I haven't shot a buck, but I have, I've shot bear, aoudad, alligators, iguanas. Have you ever been iguana hunting?
Not yet, but as on my bucket list, I have a few friends of mine down in Florida that have invited me out there. They have a few air rifles to go out there and shoot them, a couple of 30 cals and 150 cals of edge to go out there and just knock them dead. Because there's just so many of them everywhere.
It is my favorite. It is, I shouldn't say it's my favorite, but it is a tremendously fun time. And at first, when I had set it up and I had a few ladies interested in it, I kind of set it up. And at first, when I had done that, I wasn't super eager about it. I wasn't excited about it. We were hunting alligator 3 days later, so I was excited to go, gator hunting. But after we did the iguana hunting, just hands down, it was so much fun. It was way more fun than hunting the alligators, actually. And they're big. I mean, we shot one that was almost as big as my body. And then when we were out there, there was one, the guide said, there's one right there. And we started shooting at it, but you have to like pump these air rifles, they're not like automatics or anything. So we went to go pump it, and all of a sudden this thing was a log. It was so big. It was just this massive iguana that literally was probably the size of a gator, just huge. And you got to shoot them in the head, and yeah, just crazy stuff that we do. I think we ended up shooting like 42 iguanas, me and my friend, or actually me and one of my pro staffers. And it was so cool. And we chopped them all up to cook them, and we had bags of iguanas on our carry-ons, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
So what is the texture like from an iguana then?
It's just a little more rubbery than chicken, I guess. I know everybody compares everything to chicken, but really it's kind of like that. They say chicken of the trees is what they call them down in Florida. And,
funny.
And I would just say a little bit more rubbery than chicken, but it's good stuff. So
that's phenomenal. That's because for the listeners that are not aware that iguanas are an invasive species. They kind of blew up after Hurricane Andrew back in '91, where it just demolished a lot of aquariums and pet stores, stuff like so. All that got out there in the open and such. And even same thing with the pythons and also boa constrictors. Those are rampant throughout the area, and those animals will produce 20 to 30 eggs per set, and they usually have what, 1 or 2 litters a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of them, and there's aggressive breeds too of iguanas. So, I mean, if you just think about it, you walking in your yard, or your kids walking in your yard, or animals walking in your yard, that's where they are. They're in people's yards, and our guide basically has permission where we go in this, it's almost like a boatyard canal kind of area, and you go through and you pop them, and so they're air rifles, and so they're, you know, semi-safe. But then in maybe like areas that we feel like we probably shouldn't be shooting, we've actually like blow darted them too.
Oh, I was gonna ask you if that was something, that was a trick.
Yeah, you blow dart them, and then you reel them in, and then I guess take a hammer or whatever and pop them in the head. I did not do that. I'm actually kind of a big scaredy cat, and I just think they're really, I don't like snakes or amphibians, or I don't like anything like that. So but Rachel was my superstar. She was grabbing them and popping them on the head, and they were hissing, and God, it was a good time.
So it sounds like it's highly recommended. I know I want to get down there. I interviewed a guest, John Hatfield. He lives in Georgia, and he was talking about all the hogs, stuff like should almost just plan like a week-long trip and just kind of just make my way down and hunt all the smaller animals that are easy to get tags for, and go from there, or get a license for, where I don't have to worry about having a quota or anything like that, or a limited amount.
Oh, I've said that so many times. I don't know how many times I've asked people, and they look at me so weird. I'm like, are we in Florida or Texas right now? Because we have so many hunts spaced out of each one, but they're so similar. Or I said, I know we were fishing one time in Corpus Christi, and I said something about like the Texas DNR, or, you know, regular, what do they govern? You know, do they govern this, or is this considered ocean because it's a bay? Or I think I said Florida, and they like looked at me, and they're like, we're in Texas, so we don't, you know, it's just weird stuff like that. But they're both really great states that have so many like exotics and just really, you know, fun hunts that you can do. And it's warm. I mean, we're in Wisconsin, so it's nice to go somewhere warm and put some meat in the freezer, even if it's chicken of the trees.
Right. Yeah, that is a unique thing. I was watching on YouTube over New Year's Eve with my dad, and we came across a guy's YouTube channel where he's actually bow fishing for pythons, and I thought that was pretty interesting. But here's something that I thought was pretty remarkable, that they can now add bobcats to the predator list for snakes, because they caught a on trail camera there from the DNR there. Well, I wouldn't say to the DNR, but somebody caught a bobcat sneaking in on a nest for a boa constrictor, and it's like the snake was there for one instance, and it scared him off. So well, after he waited for the snake to leave, came through and destroyed the entire nest. And so I thought it was pretty remarkable. I posted on my Instagram here, I think it was a few months ago, but it was really quite remarkable to add that particular predator to the animal, because they're kind of like the apex predator out there. They've been known to eat alligators and such. So we need another predator besides humans to interact with them, because man, it's an infestation. There was even ads, I think it was last fall, I believe, I saw that they were paying people 60 to 80 grand a year to come out and hunt them.
Wow.
Because there's such an overpopulation, because, you know, they're getting everywhere. They get in the houses, and they'll eat cats and dogs and stuff like that. So they need to come with some type of a solution to help calm them down. They'll never get rid of them, but they need to at least get them out of the residential area.
Yeah, you know, I think about stuff like that. Like, so we've killed snakes before. It's not my favorite, and just thinking about, you know, hunting them. I mean, I got to go wolf hunting in Wisconsin, and I thought that was intense. I mean, you want to talk about like an apex predator, get your blood pumping, you got to be super brave. to be out there, calling wolves in the middle of the night in their territory. Like, they're going to see you before you see them. Like an intensity thing. But when it comes to snakes, I mean, they're just so gross. They are. And I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm maybe sounds stereotypical, like a woman, like, ew, gross. But I know grown men. I mean, my dad, no, like, no snakes. I don't know. If they're dead, I can touch them and they're fine. And it took me many years to get to that point. But even when they're alive, I'm kind of like, whoa, no bueno on that one. Like, get me the shovel and I'm going to stand way back here and stretch my arms out. But, yeah.
Well, see, you wouldn't like me in college because I actually had a 10-foot long South American reticulated python or boa constrictor, 10-foot long,
Nope.
feed him and stuff like that. He'd pile up right here and his head would come set up like this. It would freak people out, but it's like once they got close, because you'd see the squint from a distance, and as they got closer to me, it's like, what? Because they were trying to figure out why am I having this? I'll take it out for walks. I'll walk around my apartment complex, the whole nine. It was fun because it's like I didn't know what kind of attention I was going to get, and I never had any problems with it. It's just one of those things. And I had it for 4 or 5 years. I got it from a buddy of mine that had it, and I bought it from him. But then in the highlight of the story is that when came time to get rid of him, I actually found a reptile enthusiast that actually does a traveling show that takes these specimens all across the Southwest. And so he didn't have a specimen that long. And I told him, it's like, it's yours. Just go ahead and take it. So I gave him the aquarium and all that fun stuff. So at least it went into a good home.
I thought you were going to say it escaped.
It happened once, and then I figured out what I didn't do, and I just then I just went and got some heavier bricks and put it on top of his port.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
that's wild. Huh.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I've always been fearless when it comes down to it. I don't have any issues with spiders or snakes or mice or anything like that. My dad was always a little instigator, so it's like he would always kill a snake or find something like that. It's like, hey, go show this to your mom. And the one story that always comes to mind is like she's upstairs. This is late 80s, early 90s, up there taking a bath. Look, Mom, look what I found. I'm only 8 or 9 years old. And it's like, I can only just imagine the words that came out of my mom's mouth as she was yelling at him.
And my kids are like that. They are fearless and they will grab salamanders or snakes if they can find them. Or I don't really like frogs either. I'm not scared of them. I just don't like them. And they just think it's the funniest thing to, bring it up to me, throw it in my face. And I'm like, oh, it's just, they give me the jeebies. I don't like them. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it probably is the whole thing about being the only girl with 3 older brothers and maybe being like tortured and tormented quite a bit as a child, that they just give me the jeebies. And I hear as you get older, those things get worse. I actually think I'm way braver than I was 5-10 years ago, but I just don't like them. I feel like if I held one like that, like the snake discoveries and stuff that they do where they hold the snakes, I don't know. I think my heart might just stop.
It's one of those fears that I think it happens like when a child's young and they were had an experience that was not the most welcoming for it, because there's always I've seen it go in both ways where we're talking to people that they were tortured by their older siblings, or this older sibling did something to an animal that just completely turned them off. It's like, nope, don't want to do nothing with it. But then there's folks like myself that were shown that you don't have to worry about fearing these ones. It's the ones with the rattles you have to worry about, because growing up in northern Iowa, southern Minnesota, being over here, we have to deal with the timber rattlers, and those are the ones we got to really pay attention to. But those occurrences don't happen very often. Now, if you go down to Florida and Georgia, I have friends in both those states, and they always say it's not uncommon to see 1 or 2 or hear them when you're walking out to your ground blind or tree stand or wherever you're doing.
Wow. And I think that's wild. I mean, because I know, and it was just a couple weeks ago, we were in Minnesota, and there was a timber rattler, and it's so unusual, you know, just thinking in Wisconsin that that's not something that we're used to. But then hunting in the South and being prepared and, you know, wearing, you know, gaiters to guard our legs and snake boots and stuff like that, just being like really prepared. But like you said, people who grow up down there, they know, you know, just how to deal with it. But I just feel like if I'm walking and I hear a rattle, I'm scared. I'm scared. And I think they're going to like launch at me, but I know they're not. But I think you just kind of get those perceptions just because it is, you know, such a dangerous thing and kind of scary. And you don't know where to step.
And Hollywood isn't any better either. You know, it's like I remember recalling an episode with Steve Irwin because I think he was someplace in Wisconsin, Minnesota, when he was covering that particular species, and he happened to step on a nest with a bunch of babies. And it's, you know, how that man managed to get through some of those crazy scenarios is beyond my understanding. But at least we're not in Australia where everything can kill you. So it's like we're doing all right.
And I've been there, and I think that helped me face my fears because they have snakes and lizards and spiders. I mean, spiders like this that people welcome in their home. I saw one and I just about had a heart attack, and they're like, oh no, they're good. They eat the flies and stuff. And I was like, I would not want a spider that big in my home. Or there was like a waterfall that I really wanted to see. It was just this amazing, beautiful thing. And you had to go down these stairs, and all down these stairs covered with big, huge, ugly lizards. I had to face my fears. And then swimming. So I don't swim without shoes on. This is the being tortured as a kid, just so scared a fish is gonna, you know, bite one of my toes off. So I don't go into water without shoes on. And I went underneath that waterfall and swam under and everything, knowing full well all these rocks that have lizards on them, that I'm swimming with lizards and snakes. And but I guess at some point you got to put your fears aside and explore life and enjoy life and do those, you know, adventurous things. And it's helped me a lot. I mean, tremendously. And again, that's good to kind of like pass on to other people, that I'm glad that I did it and I faced my fears and I kind of got over it, but it doesn't mean that I like them.
That's true. But that's what I think this is a good stepping stone. I want to talk about Hunter LA and like where your inspiration came from this, because what you just got to discussing, and then you take on this animal, like sometimes dealing with actual animals and dealing with humans is almost a little bit easier. So what started this foundation or this project you've been working on for the last couple of years?
Yeah. So it was kind of just,
I'm Jake with HHA Sports, and today we're going to talk a little bit about our dovetail sights and how they're going to fit on the new Mathews V3X. So as you'll see, I have a Tetra Max Tournament Edition sight on this 33-inch V3X. All of our dovetail sights, the Tetra and the Tetra Max, will fit on the V3X. Also, in the next couple of weeks, you'll see us come out with a shorter dovetail version. It'll just be our short bar version, which will also fit on the V3X on both the 29 and 33-inch model. One question that we've gotten pretty frequently lately is the windage adjustments on your Tetra and Tetra Max bow sights on the new Mathews bow. And this year we came out with the infinite adjust plate, which you'll see on the front end of your sight. So when you put this infinite adjust plate on, you'll want to either flip it to the inside or the outside. And for the inline mounting sight options, such as the V3X, you're going to want to make sure that the infinite adjust plate is to the outside of your infinite adjust channel. This will allow for optimal windage adjustments. So you'll also be able to find the infinite adjust bracket on our website if you're already shooting a Tetra or Tetra Max Tournament Edition sight. Another way that you can get your HHA to fit V3X is by buying our conversion kit, which you can find on our website at hhasports.com. We'll be selling those at retail around $60. So basically the only thing you'll have to do is you'll have to take apart your sight at the third access point, and you can convert any Tetra or Tetra Max sight. So if you have a fixed frame, you can get that into a dovetail. So like mentioned before, any dovetail sight will fit a Tetra or a Tetra Max as well as our short bar version. For more information, you can visit our website at www.hhasports.com.
Coming back to my roots, after I had my youngest child, she's just kind of like, I don't know, just like this big motivator for me of passing on like a legacy, and thinking of what I had when I was younger and what I didn't have. And so I kind of got back to my roots of growing up and being involved in the outdoors, and I started doing some field staffing. And then while I was field staffing, I found some kind of really big voids in the industry of being a woman in the outdoors, and started talking with other women and kind of getting out feelers about how we feel about going hunting as mothers or as women, in even different categories: fishing, archery, traveling and doing hunts, all kinds of stuff like that. And I just, for the longest time, you know, as a field staffer, I was just very supportive and really motivational to these women to do these things. And then I was like, well, if I want to pass something down, why don't I just start an organization to do that, to encourage women and get them involved in the outdoors, and offer them up these opportunities to connect with them and to get them, you know, on these trips. And so I just kind of, it was like a New Year's thing that I just kind of like launched this Hunter LA organization, and it took off really fast. It was awesome, the amount of interest that I had in it. It was amazing, the people that I met, you know, right away in the beginning. And everything just really fell into place with outfitters. You know, for the longest time, I actually struggled with outfitters because they didn't want to take a bunch of women hunting. So I have lots of DMs of that just went unanswered completely, where outfitters wouldn't take us on. And so I kind of sat back and I thought, okay, what can I do, you know, to make these things happen? And I basically came to the point of, we need to find quality people, but that their quality isn't known yet. So people that are just kind of starting out, but they still, you know, have kind of the backing to provide the good hunts, which is awesome because hand in hand, I've helped grow, you know, their outfitting services as well. And so we ended up, I owe everything to God on all of this, because he landed the right people, the right places, the right opportunities, from the guides to the women that went on the hunts, that now, as this has grown so much, I have pro staffers that host hunts. So I can stay back and focus on, you know, raising my kids more, and limit my travel. Before, it was every single month I'd be traveling the country, to go on these hunts. And now it kind of goes to every other month. As much as I enjoy it, I also enjoy being a mom and being home and taking care of my kids. And we have, you know, land that we're responsible for, and all that stuff. But yeah, so I just started putting together these hunts, from snow geese to access deer. That's the next trip that we have coming up. Alligator hunt. We have 20 women from across the country hunting alligators.
That's
was
amazing. Hats
Yes.
off to you.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. And making the connections, you know, I say it always sounds cheesy, but a sisterhood is basically what Hunter LA has turned into, and we keep bringing people in, and hooking them up. Sometimes there's women who are single and they don't really have like the confidence or the knowledge to go hunting, but they want to go hunting. And when we bring them in, it works out so good, because I've said I always have this open door policy that anybody who comes on my trip can come and hunt our property. Like, you want to come hunting whitetail, let me know when you want to come up here. We'll set you up in a blind. We've done it with turkey hunting, where we've had people from across the country come here and go turkey hunting. I actually do it out in Colorado, where I host like a turkey hunt, also with one of my pro staffers that I just met on a hunt. You know, we met on a hunt, we hit it off. She's awesome. And so now we host turkey hunts that are open to women out there. We just had a girl from Mississippi shoot her very first turkey out there. And the experiences, the knowledge, the friendship, the loyalty, all of those things kind of wrap into one of what I do. And then we also do fundraising and stuff for disabled hunters, veterans, people in the hunting community who are struggling, whether it be like doctor bills from cancer or heart issues or stuff like that. People who are really who give back at the same time. You know, it's time to give to them. We raised funds for a track chair for a young lady named Cheyenne Pistol last year, so she can enjoy the outdoors. She came on a snow goose hunt with us in Arkansas and had to have like the guide carry her out. And then I actually purchased like a specialized blind for her to help, because she's paralyzed from the waist down. So we had kind of the specialized blind set up, but kind of ultimately she wants that independence and she wants to be able to do more. And so we raised funds, and now she has a track chair, and she actually went on a deep sea charter with another girl from one of my trips just a couple weeks ago. So it's cool how we can help people out, bring people together, promote the outdoors, empower women that are out there. And then we do stuff with kids too. So we do youth turkey hunt. We always have kids come out to do youth turkey hunt. We do youth fishing stuff all the time. And then next year we'll actually be doing like a youth shed hunt that I'm really excited about, to just get kids excited about spending time in the woods, walking around in the woods, right?
Let me know when that is. I will gladly bring my daughter up there, because I think being around more women, because like none of her family members on her mom's side hunt. I mean, her mom used to hunt, but with 3 kids and stuff like that, that is now on a back burner type scenario. And we took my daughter this past weekend to Mission 18, and she actually had a blast. We recognized that the bow that I had gotten for her, she's outgrown it and stuff like that. And so before we left, I had her give her bow to Seth Baranowski, and he's developing a 501c3 getting youth out in the outdoors. He doesn't want to pigeonhole himself just to archery. So he and I have been talking back and forth since yesterday about, like, my wife came up with an idea. It's called Transcendent Elms. And it's like he chose elms for the aspect of it that for the longest time, longbows were made out of elm. Some of the best furniture is made out of elm. And so we just kind of, and how it all works and how it provides shade. And it's got a beautiful story behind the whole thing. But there's a child that he kind of basically adopted as another child, but his dad recently had passed away. And to get him out of his funk, he brought him to Toma, and he brought him this weekend, and I shot with him both weekends. And the kid is just he's really starting to show his character, and he's just very heartwarming to see. But getting back to him, though, it's like she had a lot of fun. And Kayla Rose, she is Tyson Trunkill's fiance. She is just been in archery for 1 year. She's been on my podcast a couple of times. I think she's not going to be at Red Mountain, because they're going to be in Florida. But one of the next events, if you guys can meet, I'd like to introduce you two together, because she's only been archery. She took like first or second place at the R100 in Iowa here last month, and she's just kind of really setting the bar for getting folks that have been always introverted and getting them out on the shelves and just kind of blossoming, and just kind of seeing how what she's done has provided such an impact for so many people. And plus, both her daughters shoot too. All three of their kids shoot.
Yeah, and it's so empowering, and kind of that thing about being shy. Actually, one of my best friends I met on a hunt, and when I drove down there and they were already there, and so when we got there, we kind of settled in the house and we were sitting at the table, and I was like, oh man, like this girl's crabby, like she's she's really cranky, but it ended up being like she's just an introvert. She's really shy, and now she's one of my best friends. And she has been on, I think, 4 hunts because she's just a rock star. She loves it. And she loves how empowering it is. So we ended up doing like a ram hunt. And she came on that, and right away she was just really down on herself about her bow. She was worried about it being on the plane and getting knocked around. She was worried about it before she came down and wasn't, she didn't feel confident about it. And then we were out shooting and it was windy, and so she was not getting, the groupings that she wanted. She was like really frustrated about it. And I was like, you got this, like you can do this. And ended up basically just telling her it's like a 3D target, but it's just moving a little bit. So if you just shoot it, it's okay if you shoot a 5, you're gonna kill this animal. And then that morning I actually had pulled out some scripture, and it was about confidence, and she went out that afternoon and she sat and she shot a beautiful Corsican ram. But she didn't even message us for 30 minutes to say she shot it because she was so nervous and just unconfident, really. She was just worried about her shot. And she said after 20 minutes she got out of her stand and walked over there, and there he was laying dead. She just couldn't see him because it was like, just out of her sight. And we laughed, and she's like, it's life-changing, like you're changing lives, because now she feels like she can tackle, anything with a bow. And her confidence is through the roof. And she had 0 girlfriends before this trip. She just thinks women are catty, which it happens. Lots of drama or gossip, and she just didn't want to be part of it. She's a pretty tough chick. She works in a mine. So all of her friends are guys. But now again, she has kind of this sisterhood, friends forever, memories forever. So it's really cool doing that stuff. I absolutely love it. And then just having connections across the states too. Anytime we want to go, well, we can go ice fishing in Wisconsin, but they're up in like northern Wisconsin, and they have the ice castle and all that great stuff too. And so there's an invite to go ice fishing anytime, or and just finding people that you can kind of have that connection with to go hunting kind of anywhere. We did it elk hunting last year. Me and a girl named Lizzie from Colorado went out in Colorado, just the 2 of us, and went elk hunting, and it was so cool that you can kind of build relationships like that, but even confidence to go do stuff that you never thought you would be able to do. So it's unique. I love getting new people into it, and I love growing the sport. And we've had all, like I said, kind of just all walks of life show up for all kinds of reasons and come on these trips. And in a lot of circumstances, it's been life-changing for them to just find an outlet, or find something that they can be passionate about, or find something to, occupy their time. So it's been a great blessing, and I just, want to continue that. I'm so thankful, like I said, that I have some really good pro staffers now that are helping out, and yeah, it's good stuff.
That's good. I like how you just brought up confidence, because have you read or listened to Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you remember, I don't know if you remember this, but in chapter 2, they do the self-confidence formula.
Yep.
I think that would really provide, like when you mentioned that, it's like I just got done covering that because at work I have a pretty good library of stuff that they have for free for us to utilize. And I just heard that and I just went online, or I actually wrote it all down, stuff like that. And like the affirmations are so powerful, just 1 through 5. Number 5 is the most important one because it's like it really hits on different levels about being self-confident, not being negative. Don't talk ill of other folks. I mean, it's very spiritual, the whole thing, and especially on top of that too, like be believing, like I made a post today on my Facebook saying, but perfection is can only be achieved through practice and by faith. And I thought that was something that was really powerful coming from Napoleon Hill, because you can sense there's a lot of spirituality flowing through that book, because it's about attracting what you want, but also having the humility and getting there. And then even in chapter 1, when they go through the 6 steps about being financially set, you don't have to be rich, but it's just something that really bring a vision together. And whether you're not, you just execute that plan.
Right. And that's kind of these trips too. It's not all about hunting. It's a lot about growth, self-growth, and a positive atmosphere, and people that you can connect with to be in that positive atmosphere. I mean, we don't have the negative. We don't tolerate the negative. It's just not anything that exists. When you really have like positive vibes going like that, it wears, it wears off on you. If you're coming from a negative environment and going into a positive one, and then you have all of these people that are giving you all of these resources to kind of, change things around to the positive. It's been amazing. And I guess I spent a lot of time in my life wondering, what can I do to have that positive impact? And really, I'm doing it in the outdoors, and I think that it's amazing that I get to do things that I love and help people and pass on to the next tradition. Really, that's kind of the big thing. I just really think we need to keep these traditions alive, get as many people involved as possible before our freedoms kind of get stripped away because people aren't being part of it. They're not carrying on these traditions, or they don't care. And then when it comes to, I guess, not political too, but I mean, we need to voice our opinions to like the DNR. We need to vote for what needs to happen to like kind of keep our traditions alive. And the only way we can do that is with strength in numbers. And so we need to grow that population that's into those things. So a lot of things going on, but it's bigger. It's bigger than just women going hunting. And my favorite part about it is the big picture.
That is 100% correct, because by bringing these folks in together, no matter what it is, something about the outdoors that really kind of rekindles their spiritual awakening in a sense. Because a lot of folks, that when they begin their life, they differ from the path, but they're not quite sure where the path should take them. And by introducing the outdoors with them and bringing in the spirituality of our Lord and Savior, it seems to bring in that connection. It takes their point of view from being wide stretched to a little bit more focused to be able to get them through the next area. Because there's so many unique teachings that we learned how you can pair spirituality, mental health, and all that stuff works together, because it's a reconnection to your soul. And I think that's what has happened over the last few years, I think pretty much ever since the TV was developed. It's like that's always been it's been a growing distraction. And now with people, with what has happened over the last 2 years, and that will never stop happening, but it's really kind of revitalized some people's spirituality, bringing them back out of the house, bringing them back out into God's playground, and really appreciating the beauty, because we've seen record numbers all across the United States with hunting licenses, fishing licenses, boats, fishing gear, all that fun stuff. Saw record highs because the folks wanted to get out and do something. And now we're starting to see some issues with our food supply chain, and it will come this fall. It's going to be ridiculously expensive because these farmers got to pull everything on out, and diesel is just not being very nice. And it's been made clear that our current administration will purposely continue driving the recession into a depression, but that can go into the World Economic Forum and going down to Agenda 21. There's a lot of rabbit holes that I've kind of learned that you have to pay attention to what's going on, because you have to pull yourself up to a 30,000-foot view. And once you change or alter that mindset, you start seeing, well, two wings of the same bird type scenario. And you start looking through all the BS that goes on. It's like, well, we know the Democrats don't like hunting, but the right likes the Second Amendment, but they want to take our public lands away. So we're getting struck on both sides. And
it's scary. I think a lot of it it's so complicated, and that's, like I said, kind of when I'm talking about like a legacy or something I want to pass on to my kids. It is scary, and I don't know where the country's going, but I want to make sure that my kids are provided for, and that they are able to provide for themselves when it comes down to that time. And when they're doing that, I want them to be doing it the right way. I don't want them to, I don't know, I want them to have the freedom to live a simple life and still, be able to provide for themselves or their family. And hunting, fishing, trapping, being outdoors. I mean, we ride horses too. I mean, we have lots of outdoor skills. The majority of our time is spent outside. I think our TV is covered in dust at this point. And it's amazing though, the simplicity and the peace that it brings. We're aware of what's going on. And it's scary, but we know that we're going to be okay. We know that we have meat, and we know that no matter what, we're going to be able to survive with, whatever's coming or whatever ends up happening. And we still enjoy life. I mean, we're happy. Our hobbies are here. And yeah, we kind of roll with the punches, but stand up for our beliefs and make sure that we're ready to just keep on living, really.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you have a 501c3 branch to Hunter LA, or is that something in the works?
Yep. So the 501c3 is kind of in the process of the paperwork. Life gets so busy, and so we're got a lot of stuff going on, but we have like the paperwork and everything is just kind of going through the filing process right now. And so, yeah, we're really excited about it.
Yeah, so I know, like with my experience with working with the HHA USA, it can be kind of complicated when you're dealing with the 501c3, because like Chris right now is only structured for Wisconsin, but it's like if you want to try to go national, it becomes quite taxing. It's almost as if they don't want to create an opportunity for folks, because with your opportunity right here, what you got going on is something that will really blossom, because it's like people from torn homes or better childhood or in a woman's shelter type scenario, hearing about this and hearing the testimonials and that experience for them getting out of that rough situation and moving them into something better that just kind of seems like it's going to go in the right way. So with your situation, are you guys going to be limited to Wisconsin, or have you guys worked with a lawyer that can get you nationwide?
Yeah, so we are. That's kind of the hoops that we're jumping through. And actually, what's really cool is this. One of my pro staffers that I was talking about, she's actually getting her paralegal degree. So she's furthering her schooling now to get a paralegal degree to really get in kind of the ins and outs of exactly what you're talking about to move forward and like build. So yeah, long term for sure, we want to expand like that. Mm-hmm. It's really difficult. We my husband actually founded the Vets Fighting for Vets nonprofit, and you're exactly right. They want to stop you in your tracks, because they basically asked us, the one time when we were, continually going through paperwork. There's so much paperwork to go through all the time, but they were asking, what are your service areas? And we were like, oh, we do Wisconsin and Minnesota, and they denied it. And they rejected our our renewal for our 501c3 status because we said Wisconsin and Minnesota, and you can't do that. And I thought that was ridiculous. I feel like you just like roped us in and then like slammed us down. And so yeah, you have to like go through a bunch of different loopholes. And it seems so strange to me that they would do that, because you would think on this broad spectrum, you would want to be able to help as many people as possible. So those are kind of the loopholes that we're going through, because it must be a state by state difference, or I don't know, maybe I'll have to pick at Chris a little bit. See if he'll ever find some time to chat with me. He's such a busy guy, but yeah, I might have to pick his brain a little bit to look into some of that. You know, she's working on it too, with getting her degree to finish that, and I think she'll be done in the fall, actually. So slowly but surely we're getting there. We're still doing all of those things that a 501c3 does by like giving back and obviously empowering and helping and sharing and all of that kind of stuff. But it will be nice when we officially have that title. And then I know that we're eligible for grants and stuff to help out with that, which I hope continues. That the government and all of that continues to do grants, not only for women, but also for like the outdoors, because we need it. I mean, we need it to survive. We need it to flourish. We need it to find peace. And it would be a really sad day if all of those traditions, you know, from generations disappeared. We need to stand up for our rights and our traditions, for sure.
Oh yeah, I was watching George Carlin's America. He just came with a documentary here on HBO, and I've always found him remarkable because of what he did for the First Amendment and stuff like that. Some people may not like some of his political views, but you know, he still has to eat too as well, and just kind of going how that went. But he was talking back in the 60s and 70s all about the whole stuff we got going on right now, and his bits are still true to this day. I mean, he's probably why I consider him the GOAT, you know, because he just knows how to nail it right on the head. But he was talking about like how everything we basically poison the earth, but we get the more people outside in the world, outside the programming of a cell phone or a laptop, a TV, they'll be able to start becoming more stewards of the land. And that's what we need to get people back to, is getting them to the steward of the land instead of being duped to where everything is, you have the illusion where everything's always going to be at a grocery store, but eventually it's not going to be the case, because we're starting to see a science fiction movie turn nonfiction.
Yeah. And I just say that to my husband all the time. Even I just don't like chickens at all, but I'm like, I think we're gonna have to get chickens.
Mm-hmm.
But it's happening, and my stepdad had said that to me too, because we want to build a house. My husband is just really moving forward with building this house, and I'm just really nervous about it. And he said, when everybody's running in one direction, you need to be running the other way, is basically what my stepdad, who's in construction, told me. If everyone's doing it.
Hey everyone, Jake with HHA. Super excited to introduce the Tetra and Tetra Max Rise. The Tetra Max and the Tetra Rise is our new 2-pin vertical bow sight that we're coming out with here for this year. So you'll notice a couple things on it. It's very similar to our single pin platform that we've had here over the last 25 years, and really similar to the other sights in the Tetra line. So what we basically did was we took our single pin technology and we merged that with some multi-pin technology. So the way we built our Tetra and Tetra Max Rise sights was we basically dropped a second pin in that vertical pin coming up from the bottom, and then we added a second indicator on the yardage wheel. So both of those are fixed. One really nice thing with this setup is you sight in at 20 and 60 with the top pin, and you don't have to worry about the second pin at all. That second pin and second indicator will automatically be on. So really nice feature there. The Tetra Rise and Tetra Max Rise are gonna come in 8 different frame options. So 4 in the Tetra Max Rise, 4 in the Tetra Rise. Both are gonna come in the fixed Hunter Edition frames. So the Tetra Hunter Edition frame, the Tetra Max Hunter Edition frame, as well as the Hoyt Picatinny mounts in both the Tetra Max and the Tetra Rise, as well as the long dovetail and then the short dovetail bar option that I have on the Matthews bridge lock system. So all the dovetail options within the Tetra and Tetra Max Rise are going to be compatible with Matthews bridge lock system. So within both of these product lines, you're going to get a lot of different options as far as which sight you want to go with. So you're going to get your choice of a yellow or red second pin. Red is going to be the standard second pin color, but you can choose to go with the yellow option as well. And then both will be available in either a 10 or a 19 thousandths pin. All scope housing sizes are 1 inch and 5/8, and we do have the same front end that we've had on the Tetra line since 2020 with the macro gain adjustments as well as your micro adjustments as well for windage. New on the Tetra Rise this year, you're going to notice that there is a new needle carrier. So this needle carrier obviously has the 2 indicators, but you will see that it is a red anodized needle carrier to really call out where your needles are at. On the Tetra and Tetra Max Rise, we'll be able to achieve longer distances. So we have built the longest tape sets that we've ever offered in our company's history. So guys are going to be able to get out to 120, 130, 140, 150, and in some situations even farther depending on your arrow setup. It's just making sure that we're getting arrow clearance, but really nice feature to be able to just step out in the backyard or head out to the 3D course to shoot out to some of those longer distances. On the hunting side of things, this is one of the nicest hunting sights that we have ever built. It does have reasonable pin gap spacing with a 1/4 inch spacing. That way, you know, if that deer runs out from 20 to 35, your second pin's on. So the most commonly asked question that I've had so far as we went through this whole setup process is, where does that second pin sit? Well, that second pin is going to vary depending on the different arrow setups that you do shoot. Closest answer I could give you is the most common is going to be somewhere between 32 and 40 yards, depending on how fast your bow is. So you'll likely be somewhere between that 32 to 40 yards with that second pin if the first one's at 20. So along with all other HHA products, the Tetra Rise and the Tetra Max Rise carry a 100% lifetime warranty. All products are 100% made in the USA. For more information, you can visit our website at hhasports.com.
You need to be doing the opposite because it's going to crumble no matter what our positivity wants to tell us. It can't go up forever. It has to come back down. So yeah, we're preparing for it. We're getting ready. I think it's yeah, even like the archery thing, you know, I even said that to him. I said, keep buying arrows. Do you know how many arrows we own?
I know. I just
it's important. I was like, well, bullets are so expensive. Might as well just keep buying arrows, right?
Yeah, exactly. I just got a dozen arrows from the silent auction, so I got to pay Chris for that. And yeah, that is the thing. It's like stocking up on those arrows and such, and kind of. But the unique thing about chickens is that there's some regenerative agriculture part of it too. Because I've seen people where they make a chicken coop, but what they do is they just basically put all the chickens in one little area, and they come through and they put the feed down, put the cage on top of it, and then they let the chickens back in there. But with them pecking and scratching, it aerates all the ground and promotes regrowth. And with all the seeds that don't get eaten, well, eventually they're going to come back out again. And you just move this cage around, and you can have a beautifully regenerative property throughout your entire area. So this way, you'll have that balance, and you bring in a few goats, and you just took care of your lawnmower needs.
You need to send me that chicken cage because that'll probably be the weight that topples me over, and I'll say, all right, get the birds, because I like that idea. I think that's awesome, really.
Yeah, as it's one of those unique things about YouTube Shorts. I just kind of stumbled across it, and I thought this was pretty neat. And it's like
Right.
this is fantastic, especially if you have a smaller yard, but you want to keep it growing nice, or if you're trying to rejuvenate your lawn because of crabgrass or something like that. And it's just a low tech way to produce a better quality greens.
I could do that. I could handle that. That
So
sounds
what do
good
you-
to me. I just don't want chickens wandering around everywhere. I think that's my biggest beef.
I have a friend of mine. She runs a rehab facility down in Arizona. Now, the biggest thing that she deals with is cats, and I'm talking like the mountain lions and the lynx or mountain lions and bobcats will come down off the mountains in Arizona, but also dealing with the coyotes too. And they'll come through, and she had something got in here, had a coyote get in, and they lost 30 chickens. Right, boom,
Wow.
done. Yeah, because they're almost like a spree killer. She managed to set out there and got it to come in. Got two of them. Got a male and a female, so that helped out.
No kidding.
Yeah, she's a badass. She's she just got promoted to. Oh, what was her promotion? Because she's veteran. She served. She was a paratrooper and such. And where are you at, Deuce? She is somebody that I want to have on my podcast as well, but her workload is quite insane because of what she does. Anyway, I'll have to look it up, but she got promoted as a VFW leadership, some position here just this past weekend. So, and she's
Cool.
covers pretty much the Southwest, and she's doing some amazing things. And she also has the Boy Scouts coming in and helping them clean up, but also teaching them animal husbandry, habitat survival, or habitat rejuvenation type thing, because it's like she's got a few acres of land, but teaching them how to keep chickens and ducks and geese alive in the desert, and and maximizing the monsoon season and all that fun stuff. So she's quite remarkable in that forward thinking.
I think that stuff is so cool. And that's, like I said, that's just kind of their building blocks of things that I want to do and grow with Hunter LA and help just help people grow in the outdoors, or because the outdoors, it involves so many things. Like I said, I don't just go hunting. I ride horses in the outdoors. We do mounted orienteering with our horses, which I just think is it's an awesome thing. Our kids love doing it. I love fishing. I'm part of this group called Casting Queens that we get women from across the country and do fishing and stuff together. And conservation, that's like something that's really important to me. Farming is really important to me. We have our horses, we make our own hay. And I'm not really good at gardening, but I'm getting better at it. And so just kind of, stuff like that to just grow outside and again, kind of find that peace. That's where it's at. Peace is in the outdoors. It's simplifying life, and it's taking away all the other distractions. And I just love it. I love hearing about people that are doing all of those things too. So
Exactly. And with being outside and putting your hands in the dirt and the lifeblood of Mother Earth and stuff, you're able to reconnect and get your vibrations back on the same level as the earth. What do you have planned for this upcoming later summer and into the fall?
Yeah, so we always do at least one trip a month. And so we have stingray bow fishing, axis and hog hunts. We have an alligator hunt coming up, and then we have a archery ram hunt. And those are all things that are on the books right now that are officially booked. And then next year, in the springtime too, want to go. It's an experience of a lifetime. It's a tornado of birds. It's so fun, and we get 12 ladies from across the country to go on this trip. And it's kind of the originator. It's the first trip that Hunter LA ever hosted, was a snow goose hunt. And it's brought so many people together, so much fun. It yields really great meals. And it really empowers people too. It's a lot of fun. Kind of just getting into, I don't want to say waterfowl, but shooting birds in the sky. It's pretty cool. It's a doorway to really get involved. So but yeah, and we post all of our events on the Hunter LA Facebook page. So if anybody's interested in those, just go on there and check it out. And another thing that's really fun is I'm always open to suggestions. So if anybody's like, oh, I've always wanted to go and shoot iguanas. I mean, that's kind of how it happened. Was somebody that was going on the gator hunt said that they always wanted to shoot iguanas, and I was like, let's do it then. So it's kind of cool like that, where we can set things up like that, and get people doing what they want to do. And then another thing that we do is affordability. Is we do payment plans with people, so they are able to afford the trips and go on the trips. And we like to keep our prices low also. So I think our most expensive trip that we've ever had was like $2,300, but it was like a week long, all inclusive, really crazy big outfitter trip. But normally they're under $1,000. Really, all of our hunts are under $1,000. And if you can go, hunting, meet women, make connections, it's not going to be the only trip you ever go on. Bring home an animal that you've always wanted to harvest. It's definitely worth it. And like I said, we do those payment plans to kind of make it easier and more affordable to get people signed up.
Definitely. What you should do too is look at plasma donation centers like BioLife or CSL, where you can donate plasma. It's like right now BioLife is paying $100 a week, and that's like 3 or 4 months, and you got yourself a trip paid for. It's tax free, which is the best part. So, and what is it? If you're brand new to whole donating, depending on what company you're with, they also offer an incentive bonus, like a sign-on bonus. Like BioLife this month is doing $900. You go over a course of like 5 or 6 donations. That's a trip right there paid for. So I can't.
And you're helping people.
Yeah, exactly. So you get the best of both worlds, the whole aspect of it. And with that, I tell people here in La Crosse, because we have a BioLife here, because we have 3 colleges, and I tell them it's like if you're a business, you need to have these signs put up around your walls, so this way that just kind of you're subliminally marketing for it, because it's like, oh, BioLife, I should go donate so I can spend money here.
That's a great idea. Maybe that's what I need to do, is like hit up the women's bathroom stalls. See, I did that at the HHA show.
That's not a bad idea, because they're
great
sitting
idea.
down, and especially like depending on what the venue is, there's always a line. So it's like, well, you might as well have, that's where you should have the majority of your advertising.
Yes. Yep.
Well, this has been pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to, and for folks that are listeners, I'll now, since I've always liked the page, but Facebook has a way of muddying my waters where I can't see what I want to see. So I'm going to do better to get these events posted, so this way then folks can be able to see these events, go and apply, and then go set out. Because I do have a growing female audience, so I do want them to be encouraged and gain the self-confidence to go out there and do it, because we only live one life, and people realize people think they have 2 lives, but when they realize they only have one is when they really get to work.
Well, and husbands too. I've had a variety of husbands reach out and say, my wife loves hunting, but she needs like a confidence boost. There's been lots of women actually that come on trips because their husbands are like, you're doing this, you need, you deserve this, you need some time on your own, you need to make some more women friends that are, doing the hunting thing. You need to boost your confidence. This is a wonderful I love you gift. This is a wonderful Christmas present. And so we've seen all of that stuff. So it's awesome. And really we haven't had a dissatisfied customer. So it's been great.
I think that's a good way to end it right there. Not a dissatisfied customer. Yeah. So what's the best ways to reach out to you, Liz?
Just our Facebook. I think that's kind of the general gist of it. Hunter LA is right there on Facebook, and shooting a direct message or commenting on posts or checking out the events. That's kind of the easiest way, kind of just to have all of the information out there. And then, we post just cool stuff on there too. Interesting places to visit, or just things that are going on in the outdoor world. So yeah, follow and share. I think that's kind of the basis of Facebook. Spread the good word and take it all in yourself.
Perfect. Well, there you have it, folks. Thank you, Liz, for coming on and talking about this awesome program you established.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.